Hi, so this is a new channel. My name is Sandra, and we are going to do a little bit of Italian in here. I know that many think that Sandra is not an Italian name, but Sandra is a very international name. So I am a native Italian, and that's how my parents call me. Pronounce Sandra, not Sandra. Or you can pronounce it as you want. So this channel is maybe to try and understand a few things of grammar, and not only. I'll try and do as much as possible. Feel free to write requests if there are things that are still mysteries to you and maybe you don't understand very well, or you thought you had understood, and now suddenly everything is gone. Feel free to write some comments and, as I said, request maybe to cover certain topics, grammar and structure, sentence structure, anything that you find difficulties with. So this little um, shall we call it a little lesson, a little chat, a little Italian chat on grammar is mainly for beginners. And by the way, I forgot to say that I will cover different things on different levels. So for beginners, intermediate, and also advanced. Also for those who are on an advanced level, it's always good to do a little bit of a revision. So let me share the page. And as I said, this mainly for beginners. I'm sure you recognize these scary things. We're talking about nouns. Here you can see they're called sostantivi as well. It's just another name for it. First of all, it is not crucial to know grammar terminology in order to study a language. It's just useful and it makes things easier so we know what we're talking about. Instead of saying, the little words that does this and that, we can give that little word a name. So let's say if you are, again, complete beginners, let's say there are a group of words or words that we can group together and they have a little job in the sentence, so they do the same thing. We'll make it clearer in a bit. So we're talking about nouns. Nouns are things, meaning objects, people, places, animals, plants, objects in general. And you may know already that in Italian, like in French and Spanish, if you have done studied a bit of those languages, we have the gender, the feminine and the masculine gender. We don't have the neutral, like you do in English, for example, it. We don't have it. So basically everything is either masculine or feminine. And I'm talking about objects, any objects, like the table is masculine, the chair is feminine, the window is feminine, the door also is feminine, the garden is masculine. There is absolutely no reason why something is masculine or feminine. However, from the grammar point of view, we can observe some rules, meaning the masculine words, I mentioned the word for table, which is tavolo. So the masculine words end in O, like tavolo. Then we have the feminine words, which end in A. Oh, here they've made it a little bit more complicated. But the feminine words end in A. I mentioned, for example, the window as a feminine word, which is finestra. Here, actually, they've separated the masculine from the feminine here. They've made it quite complete, which can be a little bit complex at this point. So we'll stick to the easiest for now distinction. So we said tavolo, masculine, ends in O, and finestra, window, ends in A, which is feminine. You can start seeing here singolare, singular, plurale, plural. Got the same here. In languages like English and Spanish and French as well, if you want a word to be plural, you add an S. In Italian, I don't know why, it's just like to make things a little bit more complicated. Instead of adding an S, we change the vowel. It's not funny, really. So if we're talking about one table, un tavolo, but if we're talking about more than one, it will end with an E, tavoli. So, or if we're talking about a singular masculine noun, otherwise E if we're talking about a plural masculine noun. So I repeat, tavolo is one table, tavoli, two or more tables. And the feminine, the singular feminine noun will end in A, like finestra, window. But if we're talking about more than one window, we'll have finestre with an E. So basically you have 4 vowels. Think about 4 vowels for most of the words. We're gonna leave the rest out of it for now. Otherwise it's just too many vowels, too many things to try and remember. We'll cover the rest, as I said, a little bit later. For now, we'll stick to the basics. So O singular masculine, E plural masculine, A singular feminine, E plural feminine. And so as I said, these are the nouns, the endings for the nouns. At the very beginning of learning the language, we also, or you also study something called in Italian articolo determinativo, which is a definite article. In English, there is only one definite article, which is the. In Italian, as you can see, I don't know, we like variety, obviously. We have more than one. We have the masculine, the feminine, the singular, and the plural. So starting from the masculine article, as we can see here, we have il. So il means the. And then we have lo, which also means the. And then we have l'apostrophe, which also means the. So when do we use it in each of these ones? We've got this table here that is going to show us a little bit more, giving us examples. So we said il is the first one, or the one that we see the most. So il, we find it in front of words which starts with a consonant, like in this case, il libro. Libro is a book. So this is the book. And then we have this lo. Lo is the, as I said, it's another masculine definite article. And is used for, in some cases, which are less common. For example, here we've got an example for each. the one that we'd see the most would be lo in front of masculine. Remember, masculine words that starts with an S followed by a consonant, any consonant. As you can see here, we have lo studente. So S followed by T. Then we use lo in front of words ending with a Z, with an X, with a Y, with GN, PN, PS. We don't have many of these words, of words starting with these letters in Italian. So don't worry too much about this longer list. You can learn this gradually. The ones to remember a little bit more at the beginning are the first two. So words starting with S followed by consonant, and words starts with a Z. So for now, these ones, you can just look at them and try and remember them a little bit. It takes a while, obviously, to remember all these things because they are so well, new, especially if you've only just started studying a language. As I said before, unlike other languages, when we have the plural, we don't add an S, we change the vowels, or there is a change in the word. In English, still talking about this article, you use the same one, English language has the same article also in the plural. So the book or the books. So it doesn't change. In Italian, it does. So we have il libro, as we've seen here at the beginning, the book. So as we saw earlier up here, the letter O, which is a singular masculine, becomes I. We can see it in here. So libro becomes libri. Earlier we saw tavolo, that became tavoli. So this is one change that we make when we want to talk about books instead of just one book. And the change from il, singular the in front of consonants, becomes I. So il libro, I libri. This law, which we have seen we can use in front of words starting with these letters, law becomes li, which is a strange sound that does not exist in English. It's not gli, it's a strange sound that is done from the side of the mouth. Yi. I'm exaggerating it now. Yi. But it's gli studenti. So as long as you don't say gli, as long as you don't pronounce the g, you cannot hear the g. It's yi. So lo becomes yi in front of the plural words that have these letters at the beginning. Let's not forget, we have L apostrophe, as we said earlier. L apostrophe, as you may know already, we use it in front of words starting with a vowel instead. So here we have albero, which is a tree. So L apostrophe, l'albero, the tree. Basically, L apostrophe comes from this law. We have dropped the O, so we don't have two vowels clashing. And because this L apostrophe comes from this one, as we said, the plural will be gli. So it will have gli alberi. Notice again the singular O becoming I. Now, if you're wondering about, we don't have two vowels in here. Yes, we do. I haven't made it up. It actually is like this. So it doesn't mean that we can never have two vowels clashing. in Italian. In fact, we avoid having two vowels clashing, especially or mainly, in fact, when we're talking about the articles. So the book, the students, the tree, when we're talking about these strange looking words. So in this case, that's when we drop the O, we have l'albero. However, the plural is gli, which ends with a vowel, and it is used in front of words that start with vowel. Why there is no, well, there is a why, but there isn't a because necessarily. Basically, that's how it is. And as we are on the subject, there isn't always a reason for things. Why do you say, why is this? Because sometimes there is a reason, other times there isn't one. Now, so here we've got the masculine only in this page that I'm sharing. We can see the feminine here, but I'm going to instead open a whiteboard and we'll see the feminine just in a different way for no reason at all. I'll just do it this way. So if I stop sharing and we'll have, it's getting dark, noticed. So if I have a whiteboard instead, and we can see the feminine definite article, remember, we'll just do it in here. So remember we have as masculine articles il in front of consonants, lo in front of words that starts with certain consonants, and l'apostrophe for words that starts with a vowel. The plural of il is I, the plural of lo and also l'apostrophe is gli, which sounds a little bit complicated. You might be quite glad to know that the feminine definite article is not as complicated. So the feminine definite article, we have la and l'apostrophe. I think you can already guess that la will go in front of words feminine, remember. Feminine words that starts with a consonant, l'apostrophe, feminine words that starts with a vowel. We're talking about singular. Let's see an example. La casa, which is the house. And then l'amica, which is the friend. It's a female friend. See, ends with an A. And now, if we want the plural, if you remember earlier, we saw the endings for the nouns. The feminine singular was a, the feminine plural was e. So we'll have exactly the same here. Le case. So both a from la and a from casa have become e, le case. And I wonder, this is a bit more difficult to guess. We can't really guess this one. The plural for l'apostrophe, remember the l'apostrophe comes from la. So it's exactly the same words. We're just getting rid of the a here, so it doesn't clash with the vowel. Remember that only for the singular nouns, we don't want the vowels clashing. We don't mind when the plural. So the plural of the friend, feminine, is le amiche. So remember this L apostrophe comes from la, and that's why we've got exactly the same le. And here the A has become E, like as we saw earlier. Now you think, oh no, why did you have this little H in there? What's the... We'll see that on a separate recording. The reason, even if it probably doesn't make necessary sense, is to keep the sound K. And we'll see why, as I said, on a different recording. So these the definite articles and the endings of nouns. We'll do just a little recap before finishing. Maybe. Zoom always, there it is. They upgrade, and so you have to guess what you need to do when you open the app again. So a little recap. We said we have masculine and feminine words in Italian. Let's think before I write it. The masculine singular words and end in what? They end in O. I like this little. They end in O. And do we remember the masculine plural words ending I? Remember tavolo, tavoli. And then we have seen libro, libri. And then we saw talking about nouns. Nouns, remember, is object, things, people, places. The feminine nouns end in A when they're singular. And then when they're plural, they change into E. For example, we can still see it here. Casa becoming case. So these are the endings of nouns. And then we saw the definite article. Definite articles, remember, let me see if I can write in here. No, it doesn't like it. It's very interesting. Yes, I'm learning. There it is. Right. For once, there is actually an improvement. When sometimes they make changes, but they're not necessarily improvement, so they're just more difficult or pointless. That's my opinion. So definite article, remember that in English, the definite article is the book, the window, the table, the road, and also for the plural, the windows, the tables, the roads. Only one in English. In Italian, as we've seen, we have quite a few. Especially for the masculine, il, which we use in front of singular masculine words starting with the consonant. The plural, if you remember, is I. Then we have law, which we use in front of certain consonants. The ones to remember for now are the words that start with S followed by a consonant, and maybe the one that starts with Z. The plural of this one is gli. And then we saw also L apostrophe, which is basically law when we drop the O. And this is what we use in front of masculine singular words starting with the vowel. The plural, because this L apostrophe comes from law, is still ye. And then we saw the feminine, which we saw it in here. We have less, and I think a little bit more straightforward. So feminine, definite article, singular, la in front of consonants. The plural we said is le. And then when we have singular feminine words, starting with a vowel. We drop the R and we have L apostrophe. The plural, remember these are just the same words, we just drop the R here. The plural will be le. Even if or when the word starts with a vowel. So remember, don't get too keen on dropping and getting rid of vowels and dropping things and putting apostrophes, because there are rules about getting rid of vowels or a leading and having an apostrophe. So far, let's say we only don't want two vowels clashing when we are using the definite article, which is always followed by a noun. A noun, you remember, is things, object. I think we leave this one in here for today. Sorry, it's getting a little bit dark, so you can see maybe just a floating head. So today we've seen the endings of nouns, masculine and feminine, and then we saw the definite articles, masculine and feminine, singular and plural. I'll make sure I've got better lights next time. Maybe I'll start when it's a little bit earlier in the day. So I hope you enjoyed or you found this useful, and I'll be back with something else in the near future. Bye-bye. Ciao.